And while we're at it here, I'll talk again. Take my little plug out there. I'm going to talk again about hooking up a belt to a machine. Now, I happen to have the hand wheel here, and I also noticed that it managed to have gotten some oil leak into the groove. That's definitely something you want to clean. It should be obvious, but if you ever have a pulley and you're trying to get a belt to have friction with it, the last thing you want on there is oil. And I'm seeing some here, so I'm going to clean it off. And I had a product that is similar to, it's rubbing alcohol mixed with water and detergent, and it doesn't have much alcohol because the last thing you want to do is like I said, you don't want to harm any of the lacquer paint here. If you don't have that, you literally can just wet it. You know, you can take water or you can just wet it. You just want to get that oil off of there. You can see I was able to get some off. And that's what we want to accomplish. You don't want any dirt and you don't want any oil in the groove of that hand wheel. And once you're done, you can come back around the groove and just take a dry end of the cotton swab. I swear I need to buy cotton swabs, you know, in one of those Costco places because I go through so many. Okay, so we now have a clean groove. Now, normally what you would do, you don't have to have the hand wheel off to do this. I did because I'm overhauling the machine. Okay, so I'm going to put the hand wheel onto the hub here. We'll get it onto the to the drive shaft. Now, I don't want this to move, so I'm going to go ahead and put my clutch knob back on now that I think I have polished it, so it's now time to get it on there. Oh, of course, something did not feel right. We're missing our washer. It didn't feel like it had enough friction there. Hopefully you guys caught me. So I'm going to take my washer, and of course it seats right there. It only goes on one way. And now I should have something to tighten my clutch knob with. There we go. Let's see, what else do I need to do with this? It would be nice. I'll go ahead and take my, take the little clutch set screw and screw it down there. Now, normally the easiest way for you to change a belt, you don't have to have the hand wheel off, okay? Unless, well, actually you will because you've got to get the new belt on. Notice I could leave the wheel on, and if I have room and my bobbin winder's not in the way, I can simply slip the belt on and get it over into the groove, and it should be fine, right? But you'll notice it's not long enough, but this is the right size. I had mounted the motor, I had been moving it because I was checking out its bearings and so forth. Now, I want to zoom in here and show you guys. Here we go. Notice this big bolt. This bolt is, it basically goes through a slot in the bracket. The bracket is attached to the motor, and the bolt is screwed into a hole in the chassis. So if I take the bolt off, the whole motor and the bracket come off, but I don't need to do that. What do I need to do? I need to loosen the bolt, and you just saw this bracket is designed to slide, okay? And it's designed to slide if I loosen the bolt enough. There we go. The bracket slides up and down, as you guys can see. So all you have to do, you'll want to obviously move the bracket up so you can get the belt onto the pulley. Once you've done this, you're going to probably think, why did I ever need to watch a video on it? Because it's virtually all vintage machines that have belts use this system in one form or another. There will be exceptions, but I have not come across that many. Now, here, of course, just like I did with the white Japanese-made machine from the 60s, I'm testing the tension, okay? I've gotten the bolt in place, and I've got my belt on the pulley. Make sure it's on your hand wheel and it hasn't slipped off. But now notice I'm going to push on it. And you think, well, how do you know how tight to make the belt? Well, there's no digital readout. It's not something that's going to beep at you. It's not artificially intelligent. The intelligence is yours, but it's not difficult to do. A simple rule is this. Notice I'm leaving it fairly loose. When I start running this, which I can certainly do, it's not really under load though. I'm not sewing something with it, so it may still need adjustment after this. But what I'm going to do, got the foot pedal in my hand, I'm going to push this and notice she moves right away, okay? So watch my thumb on the foot pedal. And as soon as I start giving it juice, it moves. It didn't really slip. That's a good sign. Now you might think, well, why don't you make it tighter? Because, hey, what if I want to sew heavy fabrics? It might need more friction. You might, and that might be called for, but I always suggest that when you get a belt on, we just put this new belt on, let's start as loose as possible without the belt slipping. How do you know if it's too loose? Because as soon as you start to use it, you'll hear the pulley spinning and you want to stop then. You don't want to heat up and burn up your belt, but that'll tell you it's too loose. And then very gradually, you want to drop the bracket. You'll loosen the bolt and let the bracket fall just gradually and try it again. The reason I'm so particular about setting this, and by the way, once you get your belt tension set, it's very unusual to have to change it again. Like I said, if you really were missing friction because you were sewing something heavy, but that's an unusual case. Now, why not just pull this bracket down and get it drummed tight, nice and tight, so that it won't loosen? Well, that's a problem because the tighter the belt, the more pressure and strain it puts on the pulley, which is attached to a bearing behind it. We know it has a bearing because there's a bearing grease port right there. And even if it doesn't have that, it'll either have a bushing that's made for oil, or it may have something sealed that you can't reach. But the point is, the drive shaft of the motor needs either a bearing or a bushing to help it. It has to have something to roll against, right? And if you have a belt that's really tight, it will strain those bearings or bushings in a way that is damaging to the motor. Okay, it'll shorten the life. So that's why I'm rambling on here. And again, you would use, if you put on a lug belt, different machine, as long as it has a rear-mounted motor, the process for this is going to be similar. As you get through the 60s, you start to get covers, you have to remove those. But just being able to have a motor and a belt, it's a wonderfully simple thing to replace. You can do it yourself. You don't have to take it to a sewing store. Just make sure that you start loose, and don't worry if it's too loose. You'll know. It'll, like I say, the pulley will spin and the hand wheel won't move, and then you'll know, oh, okay, I need to adjust it a little bit more. I just got lucky, and I've been doing these belts a while, and part of it's just I eyeballed it and I hit it right on the nose, but many times I don't, so don't feel bad. There you go, guys. A little bit about the history of sewing machine belts, going back from the treadle era to the more modern, quote-unquote, vintage era of electrified machines, and a little something about why they all have a similar width. And again, there's more to come. When I talk about the treadle machine coming up, I'll talk more about treadle belts, especially because the way you install a treadle belt does involve tension, but they're a little different, and it all has to do with the fact that they're made of leather. So we'll talk about that in a video that I hope to have ready soon. Thank you all for watching and putting up with my long rambling, but I had this to share, and I wanted to talk about it while I was here putting the belt on this wonderful Singer 201 Centennial, which you can't really see because all you're seeing is it from the side. But there will be another video coming up when I debut that machine. Thank you all for watching, and if you have any questions or comments about sewing machine belts, such an exciting topic, definitely an important topic, just let me know and put it there in the comments below. Take care.